Why, good evening, friends, and hello, team. It's Grace from Graceful Bricks, and today, given that it's Pride Month, and I had a rather lengthy video that I just did talking about my own experiences with Pride, I wanted to talk about Lego and Pride. So, as many of you are aware, I do an Out of My Head series where I talk about what mental illness feels like and the various struggles that we all go through. Today, I want to talk about one that relates specifically to being a member of the LGBT and, in particular, trans issues. So, let me show you. This head is called Pick a Side. So you can see at the front, you've just got this white person. Not that they're Caucasian, it's just white brick. And at the top, you can see all these different minifigures. So we've got, let's see here. You can see we got Homer up there, classic. And on this side, let's see, we've got a whole bunch. So there's a pink side, there's a blue side, and right down the middle, there's these people in between. So I created this sculpture to talk about gender dysphoria. What is gender dysphoria, you might wonder? Well, basically, when we're born, you get checked either in the male or the female category. And that probably works for a good chunk of the population, but for a small percentage of the population, it doesn't. We don't feel like one or the other. Maybe we feel like both. Maybe we feel like neither. For myself, being trans, which is an umbrella term for transgender, people that might fall under the transgender umbrella include transsexual people who are born in one gender and then transition to another gender, and they still view gender as a binary. There are people that view gender not as a binary, but more as a spectrum, and somewhere in between is where they fit. That's typically how I view myself. It is often referred to as gender fluid, or you might be agender, in which case, if there is a spectrum, you're off it. You could also be non-binary, which is a term often used to just sort of reflect that you're in the middle somewhere. There's androgynous, which is to describe someone who sort of blends out most of the gender markers, makeup and earrings and long hair for girls, and big muscly guys in plaid with facial hair for men. They ignore both of those and try to stick to things that are more neutral. There's also, drag queens and drag kings definitely could be under this umbrella as well. It's all about whether people want to feel that they're part of the trans umbrella or not. It's not a exclusive club. It's a very open and accepting club. Unlike this. So in this, I wanted to show what gender dysphoria feels like. And gender dysphoria is the feeling that your body's wrong. Now, a lot of people might be familiar with gender dysmorphia, or body dysmorphia, I should say. Sorry. Body dysmorphia is very common in people with eating disorders, of which I am part of, because they feel that their body doesn't look the way they want it to. They want to be skinnier, they want to be bustier, they want to look like some ideal, and they don't. And this can affect men as well as women. There's a lot of evidence showing that there are eating disorders amongst men as well, even though we don't often talk about them. But I'm talking about gender dysphoria, and that's where you feel like you're in the wrong gender. You are not just in a body that doesn't make sense to you. You're in a body that doesn't anatomically make sense to you. And for a lot of people, especially adults, sexuality is a huge component of who we are. And if your genitalia doesn't work the way you expect or want to be interacting sexually, that can be a huge struggle. That can be very painful and extremely problematic and can cause a lot of anxiety. It can cause a lot of depression. Anxiety because, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this thing? Can I experience sex the way I want to experience it or not? And then, can I be with a partner? And that can lead to depression. Unfortunately, for a lot of trans people, the statistics are that trans people have struggled with suicidality a lot more than the general population. It's typically around 40% of trans people have attempted suicide at one point in their lives, compared to typically around 5% of the general population. So it's a very large number. And that's because we don't fit, and we're frustrated at not just not fitting in society. That's painful enough. And I know a lot of minorities have experienced that, but this is not even fitting in your own body when you're by yourself. It's inescapable. It's always there. And that's what this one's really trying to show. I've also called this one Battle of the Sexes because I see a lot of gendering of things that don't need to be gendered. Is Iron Man a boy's toy or a girl's toy? Is Barbie a boy's toy or a girl's toy? Can boys wear makeup? Can girls play hockey? These sorts of things. It's unnecessary. We should just let kids and young adults and even adults do what they want, be who they want, and there will be a lot less struggle. So I built this one to talk about those issues. You've got very rigid notions on the top here of what boys should be and what girls should be. You've got, you can see up top here, I think, this girl here, she has a lipstick gun. And over here, little Maggie, let's pull her out. She's got a sparkly wand gun. So, they've weaponized what is, quote, feminine. On the male side, the same sort of thing. This dude over here has a pickaxe. And you've got you've got this guy here who's got wrenches and an axe, ready to fight. Because, of course, getting your hands dirty and working on an engine or building a house is a masculine thing. Same with the color scheme, right? Blue for boys, pink for girls. Hate to break your brain, but over 100 years ago, it was the other way around. Pink and purple was for boys, and girls were just sort of blue. they got stuck with the leftovers. And these characters in the middle are people that don't have a gender. So we've got a little unicorn here, but they have no face. So they're not male or female. They're a unicorn. Unicorn doesn't have a gender. You've got this little guy. He's just in white clothing. This guy. You've got an alien up here. Again, aliens, do you think they buy into the gender binary that we do? We've even got a little skeleton here. Because your skeleton will have some indication of what gender you are. But it's pretty much just a skeleton, right? There's no genitals attached to a skeleton. It's just a skeleton. So that's why I built this one. Also, in case you can't see, they have really blocked off the entrances to their encampments, right? The girls' camp has gone so far as to create these purple flames guarding the entrance. Sort of like you have to pass so that you are a girl enough. And that's something that trans people really struggle with. Passing. Looking enough like the gender that you so desperately want to be part of. Or not looking like the gender you don't want to be part of. And that's a lot of pressure because everyone perceives gender differently. I remember years ago, I have figure skated. Started figure skating when I was very young. And I figure skated for a long time, and I taught figure skating. And I remember one time I took off my gloves. This was after I had transitioned. But I was still, sort of in that middle process. So I was on the ice wearing my black figure skates because black figure skates for the boys. It doesn't really matter. But, and they all knew me as a boy. But then I took off my gloves one time and I had painted my nails. And you should have seen all the 8 and 9-year-olds. They were like, oh, you're a girl. All of a sudden, like, their whole understanding of me changed just because I had nail polish on. And so I talked to them a bit about that. I was like, well, why does that change? Like, you've known me all this time. They're like, yeah, but you have nail polish. Only girls wear nail polish. And I'm like, it's just paint on your nails. Like, why that? And then I showed them my ears, and I don't have any earrings in today, but I do have these two. But I normally have 3 earrings in here. And they saw my earrings and went, oh, you're totally a girl. And it was just funny because I talked to them about it, and it's like, well, what if I wear blue and have Spider-Man underwear? Well, then you're a boy. Well, but what if I wear a dress? Well, then you're a girl. Okay, but what if I'm wearing a dress and it's an Iron Man dress? That sort of thing. Also, I wanted to make a shout out because this sculpture I built for a boyfriend that I had, and he was a beautiful, wonderful trans man. And one of the things was he had a tongue piercing. And so in this one, I have included a little ball on the tongue to represent him and his tongue piercing. It's just a little Easter egg that I threw in there, something to remind me of where this came from and why I built it. So that's this sculpture. And I think if we all stop worrying so much about gender and policing gender and boys doing boy things and girls doing girl things, and we just let kids do fun things and healthy things, and then we let adults do them too. I can't tell you how many people I've heard, my partner, is way more techy than I ever was as a boy, and they often encounter pushback because they present more feminine, and they will experience pushback from people. Well, do you really know what you're doing? It's like, yeah, I really do. I have a friend who is a tradesperson, and she is incredibly skilled at what she does. And she was telling me the other day that one of her bosses said, well, you know, you'll be lucky if you finish this job in a couple days. And she looked at him and was like, no, I'm pretty sure I'll finish this today. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, little girl knows what she's going to do. And she finished it in the first day because she's talented and she's good at what she does. And he just was totally taken aback. He's like, man, it would have taken 2 of my guys 2 days to get that done. She's like, yeah, I'm good at what I do. Doesn't have anything to do with my gender. So that's this sculpture. That's this episode of Hanging with Grace and Graceful Bricks, talking about out of my head sculptures. Happy Pride Month, you fabulous people. I love you all. Try to be nice to people. Smile occasionally. Eat chocolate. Eat chocolate. There you go. Grace told you to eat chocolate, so you gotta do it. Or candy. Whatever floats your boat. Ice cream? You know. While you're eating that chocolate or candy or ice cream, maybe smash that like button. Give it a like. That helps me out. Maybe subscribe. That would be cool too. Thanks so much for being part of this. And hugs. Love y'all. Have a great day.